One. Welcome to another Gwyn and Rohan's cast. Again, we are casting games for LzHstoRy Gaming because of our recent partnership with them. This is a game by one of their Zerg players. This is actually LzHstoRy. This is before he had joined the pro team, and he was still known as Soul Goddess. And he is playing Complexity RSVP, a Protoss player. And we actually have close positions here on Metalopolis. Not entirely favorable for the Zerg player here. Why don't we go ahead and talk about these positions a little bit, Rohans?
Yeah, I would expect this probe to drop a pylon, come back and see if he can see an overlord coming from the 6 o'clock. Then he's going to inevitably move towards the 12 o'clock, so any chance of hatching first, which you don't see Zergs do that often in this matchup anymore, is going to be eliminated. The probe's already underway. He's going to find this base before anything happens. Second overlord barely coming up, so there's a lot of options here. He's got a forward pylon out there, so we could be seeing some Forge first play here. It's kind of what I think this is going to lead to.
You know, Forge first, you know, a good way to play, but I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it on this map from Protoss. This natural is just so wide open. It is very easy for Zerg to sneak some roaches around in here and do a significant damage to your economy. But we do see, you know, gas going down and probably a pool to follow. Very shortly. It looks like pool is going to go down, delayed a little bit by that probe, doing a little bit of harass there.
Yeah, and could we honestly be seeing what I think we're about to see here, Gwen? I think we're going to see a Nexus first. In these close positions, that is a really ballsy move. Pool is down, and if he just gets a, a drone out there, he can do some serious damage, and there it goes. Nexus first. Wow, gutsy move from Team Complexity's RSVP.
Certainly. I mean, you know, Team Complexity has some great players. Cruncher comes to mind as we talk about good players, but Cruncher a little bit more conservative than this. Usually opts for that Forge and then the Nexus and then a cannon. Sometimes even Forge, cannon, Nexus, but Nexus first. Very economical, but again very risky.
Yeah, and you know the whole thing is he needs to get at least a cannon up. I would imagine him to probably throw a gate down next and wall that off. So he'll have a nice little concade to prevent any Zerglings from streaming in. I don't know if that Forge is actually blocking the ramp. I can't tell on this position. I'm not sure. I think there might be a little hole there.
I believe that looks like there's a hole, but it isn't. It is indeed a tight wall.
Okay, so
that is my recollection of those positionings.
Cannon is on the way. I think it will finish just in time before these Lings that are on the way will get there. So Nexus almost done. Gateway blocking off the cannon. This could be close, but I think he's going to get this just pretty good timing.
And I would like to note that our Zerg user seems to have forgotten that he was getting gas, has not started Zergling speed, or maybe he is just going for a very fast layer. We did see LzHstoRy do that in the GSL against any pro. You know, rushed for that layer and got up. You know, of course, a spine crawler at that Forge first expansion of any pro did a ton of damage. The 2 queens out, going to kill that probe, and ooh, look at this, a layer to follow up. I love this. You know, if we see that sort of, you know, rush with some of those overlords and spine crawlers, that would be so exciting. And look at this, we do see an overlord on its way over here. We might be seeing that. Zergling speed looks like it was canceled to get that layer up, and has now been restarted.
Yeah, you definitely called it on that one. Where he's going to go from here, I'm not too sure. I think we may be seeing... He's not getting a lot of gas, so I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing like a rush to Muta. I don't even know if that would make sense, but we could be seeing some, the way his overlords are positioned, we could be seeing some, what do you call it?
Nidus work?
Nidus network, absolutely. And those do cost gas, I believe. Isn't it like 200?
It is. I think we're definitely going to be seeing, you know, some sort of spine crawler push on this expansion. You know, those have since LzHstoRy did that in the GSL. That has been a pretty popular way to open. And look at this, drones being moved. That layer about to complete. We are going to see, you know, some of those go down. That is such cool play. Such cool play.
So he's basically just going to make a creep highway here, and then he's going to just keep generating creep.
Well, he's going to generate spine crawlers here, and then he's going to push against this Forge and knock down the Forge and potentially the Nexus with.
Wow, that is really smart. Now, if he decided, now with these things down, the creep actually will disappear eventually, though. Is that correct?
It'll disappear if the Overlord is killed, but I mean, with 4 spine crawlers out, I don't think it's likely that Overlord can go down unless we see, you know, some air tech come out, and it doesn't look like he's going that route. That Robo halfway done now. But the first spine crawler is out and going to work on that forge. Photon cannons on the high ground are going to kind of put an end to any pushing up the ramp, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see the forge, potentially the gateway, and the cybernetics core go down.
Yeah, kind of an interesting position here. He's definitely going to be able to push forward and take out some buildings, but beyond that, this high ground, he's got to get that Overlord a little bit closer. There we go.
It looks like we do have 2 of them attacking that cannon on the high ground and going after the pylon of the second cannon now. You know, and this is brilliant play, you know, from Solgas. I'm not sure if I would have uprouted all 4 of those at the same time. Running in with the Zerglings, though, up the ramp, surrounding those Stalkers, doing a great job here, going to take them out. More Zerglings streaming in, and that pylon probably going to go down. This is an epic start to a game here.
Yeah, he's in the main, and these Zerglings are doing a lot of damage, knocking off some pylons, knocking off some cannons, killing some probes. There's one Stalker with these probes. I do think they're going to clean it up, but he is still in a weird position. He hasn't really teched towards anything off the ground. He is trying to go for Colossus to counter this.
And look at what's going on back in the Zerg Des. We have Hydralisks in production. Gonna go ahead and push forward with those Hydralisks as well, I believe. And more Zerglings still in the main, still causing trouble.
This is not looking good for a Protoss user. He's losing way too many probes here. He really needs to find a way to just kind of wall off that front to stop this Zergling flooding.
And Solgat is continuing to push forward with those spine crawlers, moving his Hydralisk up as well. Going to go ahead and target fire that cannon with the Hydras and those spine crawlers, taking him out. Hydralisk spine crawler is actually almost impenetrable for pretty much all Protoss army comps until Colossus.
Yeah, so this is definitely a good response. First Colossus is only about 60% done. He does have some gateway units that might be able to repel these Hydras, but they do such good damage to gateway units. Look at that, just picking off a Zealot so quickly. And our Protoss user actually is supply blocked, so this could be really, really scary. That's a lot of Zerg coming in.
It certainly is. You know, and these this Hydra Ling continuing to stream and do damage. We see these spine crawlers moving forward, taking out that last cannon at the natural, and now they are actually in range of the Nexus.
Yeah, now these Hydras do not have 6 range yet, so they can't snipe that Colossus. But the Colossus does not have thermal lance stuns, so it's only about 50% done, so he's got to be really careful with this unit. It's going to be very micro-intensive. You can't even take a break from controlling this unit, or he will lose it.
But as we of course note, you know, Hydralisk, very slow off creep, very difficult to micro. Zealots, in fact, being able to take them out. But I think there is no way that RCP is going to hold this. You know, LzHstoRy macro, great macro, pushing in and getting a Spire off his 2 bases.
Yeah, very good response. He's done so much damage. He's forced Colossus. He knows there's not going to be a lot of Stalkers. He's already killed the expansion now. So he just knows that the gas is not going to be there for the Stalkers needed to deal with these Mutalisks.
Certainly will not. And I mean, you know, RCP going ahead and pulling back on his 1 base, probably going to try and re-expand soon. Those spine crawlers waddling their way back to Story's front. That is a funny sight to see, the spine crawlers traversing that uncreeped ground so slowly.
Yeah, he does have an observer out here just trying to pick off any creep highways, but guess what? There isn't any because that was such a aggressive, very creative push. Now, do you think we're going to be seeing Mutalisks or Corruptors come out of this spiral?
You know, we do see 1 Corruptor in production currently, +1 attack going down as well. So I would say probably Corruptors here to deal with that growing Colossus count, and a switch to Roach as well, as the Roach Warren is done, and we are getting the Roach speed upgrade.
Yeah, Roach Corruptor would probably seal the deal in this game. The Roaches could really tank the damage while the Corruptors fly in there and kill the 2 remaining Colossus. A bunch of Zerglings in here trying to deny the re-up on the natural, but they are forced to retreat as those Colossus are frying a couple of them.
Colossus, again, do so much damage against Zerglings. You know, especially once you get to that 3 or 4 number, they just simply one-shot an infinity of Lings. Third down, of course, forced